My child, pause here for a moment, before your thoughts pull you somewhere else. Before the noise of the day tries to take your attention away from this. Stop right here and breathe. Because this moment is not random. You did not arrive here by accident. Something drew you to these words, and I want you to understand that the reason you are here right now is not just curiosity. It is not just habit. There is something within you that needed to stop. Something that has been waiting for a moment of stillness. Something that has been quietly reaching for something it could not name. I want to give that part of you something real today. Not information, not motivation. Something deeper than both. I want to speak directly to the part of you that has been carrying pain quietly. The part that has been functioning, managing, and moving through life while something inside was slowly becoming heavy. The part that smiles when it needs to. The part that says it is fine when it is not. The part that keeps going because stopping feels too dangerous. I see that part. I have always seen it. And today I want to tell you something I need you to receive clearly. Not as a general comfort, not as words that sound nice but pass through without landing. I want this to settle into you like something true. You are not invisible to me. Not the real you. Not the version beneath the surface that almost no one reaches. You have been carrying things inside you that you have never fully spoken out loud. Fears that feel too complicated to explain. Grief that did not come with a clear reason. Disappointments you told yourself to move past because life does not pause for pain. Tiredness that sleep does not fix. Questions that return, no matter how many times you push them away. You have become so skilled at managing these things that the people around you often do not see them. They see someone who keeps going, someone who is capable, someone who is strong, and you are. But strength, without space to breathe, becomes its own kind of burden, and you have been carrying it quietly for a long time. My child, I know what that feels like. I know the particular weight of carrying something that no one else can see. I know what it is to move through ordinary days with something unordinary living inside you. I know the mornings when it settles in your chest before you have even fully woken. I know the moments in between tasks when it surfaces quietly and you press it back down and continue. I have not been absent from any of those moments. I have been in every single one. And today I am not just watching. I am speaking. I am reaching. I am entering the places that have been closed for a long time, not to force anything open, but to gently remind the parts of you that have been waiting in silence that I have not forgotten them. You are not forgotten. You have never been forgotten. Even when the silence felt like absence, even when the waiting felt like being overlooked, even when the pain felt like proof that something was wrong with you or that you were not enough, or that healing was for other people but not for you. Those feelings were not truth. They were the voice of exhaustion speaking in the language of fear. The truth is this: I have been working in you in ways you have not been able to see. In the quiet, in the waiting, in the parts of your life that felt empty or stalled or broken beyond what you believed could be repaired. I have been present in all of it. And I have been building something that requires exactly the kind of preparation you have been going through, something that your struggle has been shaping you for. You have not been wasting time. You have been being made ready. Stay with me a little longer, because what I am about to speak into your heart in the next moments will go deeper than comfort. It will go into the actual places that need to be touched. And if these words are already beginning to reach something real in you, if something inside you is already recognizing that this moment matters, then respond. Type 1. Receive this in the comments. Not for me. As a declaration for yourself. As an act of opening to what is already being released toward you. And if these words have brought even a small measure of peace into your heart today, please like this video. Share it with someone who may be silently struggling. Subscribe so you do not miss what comes next, and support this ministry through the link given below, so this message can continue reaching hearts around the world that are waiting for exactly what you are receiving right now. Stay with me, my child, because your journey is not over. It is just beginning to unfold. My child, stay with me and listen closely now. There is something I want you to understand about the way pain works inside a person. When something hurts deeply, the mind learns to protect you. It builds walls. It creates distance between you and the full weight of what you experienced. It teaches you to move forward before the wound is fully tended. And for a time, that protection serves you. It allows you to function. It keeps you upright when everything in you wants to collapse. But protection that never comes down eventually becomes a prison. And some of you have been living inside that prison for a long time without realizing it. You believe you have healed because you are no longer crying. You believe you have moved on because you are no longer talking about what happened. You believe you are fine because you are functioning. But there is a difference between healing and managing. There is a difference between wholeness and the appearance of being whole. My child, I am not asking you to go back. I am not asking you to reopen every wound and sit inside it again. I am asking you to be honest with me about what is still there, about the things you have never fully addressed, about the pain that surfaces at unexpected moments and surprises you with how much it still holds, about the grief that you buried so deep that you forgot it was there until something small and ordinary touches it, and suddenly it rises up, and you do not understand why. I understand why. Because nothing you buried was actually released. It was only stored. And what is stored without being healed does not stay still. It moves through you in other ways. It shapes how you receive love. It shapes how you trust. It shapes how you approach new opportunities. It shapes the conversations you have with yourself in the quiet. The stored pain becomes the lens through which you see everything, and a lens formed by unhealed pain distorts. It makes you expect the worst when something good is beginning. It makes you protect yourself from people who actually want to be close to you. It makes you pull back from opportunities because somewhere underneath the logic is the memory of the last time you opened yourself to something and it did not go the way you believed it would. But my child, you were never meant to see life through that lens. You were meant to see clearly. You were meant to move through the world with an open heart. Not naive, not reckless, but genuinely open, genuinely available to what is good, genuinely able to receive what I am trying to bring into your life. And that is only possible when the wounds beneath the surface are no longer running things. So today, I am going to do something specific. I am not going to ask you to perform healing. I am not going to ask you to pretend that everything is fine or that the pain never happened. I am simply going to ask you to be present with me in this moment and allow me to reach the places that have been waiting. You do not have to explain them to me. I already know them completely. You do not have to have the right words. I hear everything that lives beneath language. You do not have to be ready. You only need to be willing. And if you are willing even just a small amount, that is enough. Because I do not need your perfection to work. I only need your presence. My child, the part of you that no one else can see, the part that has carried silent pain, quiet fear, and a hope that has been tested so many times it barely flickers. That part matters to me more than you understand. I did not create you to carry this alone. I did not create you to be strong for everyone else while silently drowning. I did not create you to manage your way through life with a smile on the outside and a weight on the inside. I created you to be whole. I created you to know what it feels like to be genuinely at peace. Not the absence of difficulty, but the deep, settled, unshakable peace that does not depend on circumstances. That peace is what I am working toward in you. Even now, even in this moment, even if you cannot feel it yet, take a breath. Let your shoulders release. And if something inside you is beginning to acknowledge the pain that has been stored in silence, respond. Type, "I am ready to be healed," in the comments. Let that be your first declaration today. My child, listen carefully to what I am about to say, because this is the part where many people protect themselves. This is where the walls go up. This is where the mind says it has heard enough, or that this does not apply, or that things are not really that bad. Do not do that today. Stay with me here, because what I want to say is important, and it is meant specifically for you. There are things you are carrying that were never yours to carry in the first place. Some of what lives in you as shame is not your own. It was placed there by someone else's words, by someone who spoke carelessly or cruelly at a moment when you were vulnerable enough to absorb it, by someone who made you believe that you were too much or not enough, by experiences that told you a story about your worth that was never true. And you took those things in, not because you were foolish, because you were human, because we are all shaped by what touches us when we are not yet strong enough to filter it. But those words were not my voice. What was spoken over you in those moments was not the truth I hold about you. The judgments, the dismissals, the comparisons, the rejection, none of those came from me, and none of them are the final word on who you are. I want to be the voice that speaks louder than all of those. I want you to begin to let what I say about you be what you believe, not overnight, not all at once, but gradually, step by step, one truth replacing one lie at a time. And here is the truth I want to start with today. You are not too damaged to be loved. You are not too broken to be whole. You are not too far behind to catch up. You are not too complicated to heal. You are not too old or too tired or too worn down or too far gone. You are exactly the kind of person I move toward. I do not wait for people to clean themselves up before I come to them. I come in the middle of the mess. I come when the wound is still raw. I come when the confusion is still thick. I come before the answers arrive. I come in the dark before the light shows up. I am here, right now, in this moment, not because you earned it, not because you have it all together, but because you are mine and I do not abandon what is mine. My child, the shame you have been living under is not your identity. The thing that happened to you is not a permanent definition of who you are. The seasons that broke you were not the full sentence. They were a chapter, and chapters end and new ones begin. You are in the beginning of a new chapter right now, not the chapter of having everything figured out, not the chapter of never struggling again, but the chapter of no longer carrying what was never yours to carry, the chapter where the weight begins to lift, the chapter where healing stops being something you hope for from a distance and begins being something you actually experience from within. And that begins here. In this moment, with honesty, with presence, with willingness. So take a breath again, and if you are ready to stop carrying what was never meant for you, respond. Type "Why?" Release what was never mine in the comments. Stay with me, because there is more I want to speak into you. We are just beginning. My child, stay with me and listen with honesty in your heart. There is something I need to address gently but directly. You have been speaking to yourself in ways that have been hurting you more than you realize. I am not talking about the obvious negative self-talk. I am talking about the subtle version, the version that sounds almost reasonable, the version that disguises itself as just being realistic, the version that says things like, "This is just how things are for me," or "I always end up here," or "It has been too long for this to change now," or maybe "I am just not the kind of person things work out for." Those thoughts feel like clear-eyed honesty, but they are not honesty. They are defeat that has been repeated so many times it sounds like truth. And every time you speak them, even just to yourself, even just in the quiet moments when no one else is listening, they dig a little deeper. They reinforce a picture of your life that was never the picture I painted. They build a ceiling over your expectations. And slowly, without you fully noticing, you stop reaching beyond that ceiling. You stop believing certain things are possible. You start protecting yourself from hope, because hope has felt dangerous before. My child, I understand why you learned to do this. You have hoped before and been disappointed. You have believed before and felt let down. You have opened yourself to something and watched it not work out. And the natural response to that pattern is to stop opening, to manage your expectations, to keep the walls a little higher so that the fall is not as far. But hear me clearly today. That protection has cost you more than it has saved you. Every time you lowered your expectations to protect yourself from disappointment, you also lowered your ability to receive what I was trying to bring to you. Because receiving requires openness, and openness requires some degree of vulnerability. And vulnerability requires a kind of courage that is only possible when you trust that the one you are opening to will not waste what you offer. I will not waste it. I have never wasted what you have given me. Every prayer that felt like it disappeared into silence. I received it. Every hope that felt too fragile to say out loud, I heard it. Every time you quietly believed, even when evidence was thin, I saw it, and none of it was lost. But I need you to do something different with your inner voice. I need you to begin catching the thoughts that are building the wrong picture and replacing them with what is actually true. Not with empty optimism, not with pretending, with grounded, honest truth. The truth is, you have made it through every single hard season so far. The truth is, you are still here and still reaching, which means something in you has not given up. The truth is, what is inside you has not been destroyed by everything that tried to destroy it. The truth is, you are more capable than your hardest moments made you feel. And the truth is, what I have planned for your life is not limited by what your life has looked like so far. Begin to speak these things to yourself. In the morning, in the quiet, in the moments when the old voice tries to return, not as performance, as practice. Because the thoughts you practice become the beliefs you carry, and the beliefs you carry shape the life you live. My child, the way you speak to yourself about yourself matters more than almost anything else in your daily life. Because you are with yourself every moment of every day. And the voice that speaks in the background of everything is either building you or quietly wearing you down. I want that voice to sound more like mine. Patient, steady, honest about difficulty, but never without hope. Firm about what is true, gentle about what is still forming. Never accusing, never shaming, always moving toward healing. That voice is available to you. It begins the moment you start to question the thoughts that have been ruling without being challenged. So, take a breath. And if you are ready to begin speaking to yourself with the same grace I speak to you, respond. Type, I will speak truth to myself in the comments. My child, I want to speak to you now about the waiting, because I know the waiting has been the hardest part for many of you. Not the struggle itself, the silence that followed the struggle, the space between the prayer and the answer, the time between the effort and the result, the season that has stretched longer than you expected and has not yet shown what it was for. You have been waiting for change, waiting for clarity, waiting for something to finally move in your life, waiting for what you work toward to begin to show itself, waiting for the pain to finish its work in you, and for something new to come through on the other side. And while you were waiting, something happened that I want to address directly. You started to interpret the waiting. You started to assign meaning to the silence. And the meaning you assigned was not kind to you. You decided the waiting meant you had done something wrong, or that the things you were hoping for were not meant for you, or that others were moving forward, but somehow you were exempt from that kind of forward movement. You decided the delay was a verdict, but it was not. My child, the delay was never a verdict. It was preparation. I know that sounds like something people say to make waiting feel better. I know it can sound like comfort without substance, but I am not speaking to you in empty comfort today. I am telling you something that is specifically and precisely true about what has been happening in you during this season. You have been changing. Not in ways that were always visible to you, not in ways that showed up dramatically, but in the quiet ways that matter most. Your patience has deepened. Your discernment has sharpened. Your ability to recognize what is real has grown. Your capacity to sit with uncertainty without completely unraveling has expanded. The version of you that existed at the beginning of this waiting season and the version of you that is here right now are not the same. You became something in the waiting. And what you became is exactly what the next part of your life requires. Because what I am preparing to release into your life is not small. And small versions of who you were would not have been able to carry it or sustain it or receive it without losing it. The preparation was not punishment. It was protection. It was making sure that when what is coming arrives, it finds someone who is ready to hold it. My child, do not despise what the waiting has done in you. Do not look at this season with resentment. I know it has been long. I know there have been moments where you questioned everything. I know there have been days when you nearly stopped believing that things would shift. And I want you to know that in every single one of those moments, I saw you choose to continue. I saw you get up again. I saw you press forward even when you were not sure it was worth it. That was not wasted. That was not invisible. That counted. Every step you took in faith during the waiting season was building something that will not easily break. Because things built in the quiet are built on foundation, and foundation lasts. My child, I want you to look at the waiting differently from this moment forward. Not as empty time, not as a sign that you are being overlooked, but as a season of formation. A season where what matters most was being shaped in you. A season that was necessary precisely because what is coming is significant. And what is coming is coming. It is not canceled. It is not forgotten. It is not being given to someone else because you are not worthy. It is being timed, and when it arrives, it will be unmistakable. You will feel how right it is, how it fits the version of you that has been shaped in the waiting, and you will understand why it could not have come sooner. So stay steady, stay open. Do not close what is about to open. And if these words are reaching something inside you that has been tired from waiting, respond. Type, "I trust the process" in the comments. Let that be your declaration of continued faith. And if these words have helped you and you want others who are silently struggling to receive the same encouragement, please like this video, share it with someone who needs this today, subscribe so you receive what comes next, and support this ministry through the link given below so this message can keep reaching hearts that are waiting just like you were. Stay with me, my child, because there is still so much more I want to show you. My child, come closer now. There is something I want to speak to you about that most people do not address directly. Something that affects the way you experience nearly every area of your life, but is rarely named. It is the hidden fear of being truly seen. Not the version of being seen that is comfortable. The kind where people know the highlights. The kind where people see your strengths and your contributions and the parts of yourself you have polished and made presentable. I am talking about the fear of being seen in the places you are still unfinished. Because most people do not show those places. Most people guard them carefully. They present a version of themselves that is ahead of where they actually are. Not always out of deception. Often out of survival. Out of a deep belief that if the full truth of what they are carrying were visible, something would be lost. People would leave. Judgment would come. The connection would break. So you hide. You hide the doubt underneath the confidence. You hide the grief underneath the productivity. You hide the loneliness underneath the busy schedule. You hide the fear underneath the plans. And the hiding is exhausting in a way that is very difficult to explain to anyone who has never done it, which is almost no one, because almost everyone has done it. My child, I want to be the one space where you do not have to hide. Not the one space in a way that means no real person ever gets to know you fully. I am also working on that, and I will speak to that later. But the foundational space, The space where before anything else is possible, you learn what it feels like to be completely known and completely accepted at the same time. That is what I am offering you right now. Not conditional acceptance. Not the kind that stays as long as you are improving. Not the kind that requires you to have your struggles under control before it shows up. The kind that is present in the middle of the mess. The kind that knows everything and stays anyway. I know everything about you. I know the things you have done that you are not proud of. I know the thoughts that pass through your mind that frighten you. I know the ways you have hurt people even when you did not intend to. I know the gaps between who you present yourself to be and who you actually feel like on the inside. I know the questions you are afraid to ask because you are not sure you could handle the answers. I know all of it, and I am still here, not because I am overlooking it, not because I have not noticed, but because I see it all within the full context of who you are, where you came from, what you have been through, and where you are going. And when I see it in that full context, I do not see someone disqualified. I see someone in the middle of becoming. Becoming is not the same as arriving. It is messy. It is uneven. It has setbacks and confused seasons and moments that do not look like progress at all. But it is movement, and movement toward wholeness, even when it is slow, is exactly what I celebrate in a person. So let the hiding begin to decrease. Not all at once, not without wisdom. I am not asking you to suddenly expose everything to everyone. I am asking you to begin by being fully honest with me, to stop curating your prayers, to stop presenting a cleaned-up version of yourself when you come to me, to bring the real weight, the real confusion, the real fear, the real longing, and trust that what you bring will be received with more gentleness than you expect. Because when you stop hiding from me, something opens. When you stop using energy to maintain the distance between the real you and the person you present to the world, that energy becomes available for something else. For healing, for growth, for the kind of authentic presence in your own life that makes everything feel more real and more full. My child, you are not created to live at a distance from yourself. You were not created to be a stranger to your own interior life. You are created for honest, present, grounded living. The kind that feels like something instead of the kind that just continues. And it begins here, in the willingness to be fully seen. So take a breath, and if you are ready to stop hiding, even just from me, respond. Type, "I am done hiding," in the comments. Let that be your declaration today. My child, stay with me and listen carefully. I want to talk to you about something that has been affecting you in ways that go deeper than you have recognized. It is the belief that your healing is taking too long. You have been measuring your recovery against a timeline that was never real. You have been comparing your process to someone else's. You have been looking at people around you who seem lighter, who seem to have moved through similar things with more ease, and you have drawn conclusions about yourself based on the comparison. Stop doing that. Not because comparison is a small problem that is easily corrected, but because the comparison itself is built on false information. You do not know what is happening inside the people who seem lighter. You do not know what they are carrying. That is invisible. You do not know what they have postponed, suppressed, or simply not yet encountered. You are comparing your internal reality to their external presentation, and that is never a fair comparison. Your healing is on your timeline, and your timeline was designed with full knowledge of everything you carry, the depth of what was done to you, the complexity of what you have experienced, the specific ways that your history has layered itself inside you. I did not design your healing process to match someone else's, because I did not design you to match someone else. You are singular. Your journey is singular. Your healing is singular. And what looks like slowness to you often looks like depth to me. The people who heal quickly are not always the people who heal completely. Sometimes what looks like quick healing is actually quick covering. The wound gets managed faster, but not necessarily gone deeper. and the covering holds for a while, but eventually something touches it again, and the pain is still fresh underneath. I am not doing that with you. I am going deep. I am tending what is actually there. I am not rushing you through a surface-level recovery that leaves the roots of the pain intact. I am doing the careful, specific, thorough work of actual healing. The kind that lasts. The kind that does not shatter when life puts pressure on it again. The kind that changes how you move through everything that comes after. That kind of healing takes time. And I want you to stop resenting the time it is taking and start trusting what the time is being used for. My child, the fact that you are still in process is not evidence of failure. It is evidence of the depth of what is being done. It is evidence that you have not been left alone in this. It is evidence that what is happening inside you matters enough to be done thoroughly. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself the same grace you would give to someone you love who is going through something difficult. You would not tell them they were taking too long. You would not compare their process to others. You would sit with them. You would remind them that they were making progress even when it felt invisible. You would speak gently into their discouragement and remind them that they are not alone. Do that for yourself, not as a performance, not as a technique, as genuine compassion for a person who has been through something real and is working their way through it with more strength than they know. Because that is what you are. You are someone who has been through something real, and you are working through it, and you are not alone in it, and that is something worth honoring. So take a breath, and if you are ready to give yourself the grace of time, respond. Type, "I give myself grace to heal" in the comments. My child, I want to speak to you now about the people in your life, about the connections that shaped you, about the ones that hurt you, about the loneliness that lives in you even when you are surrounded, about the longing for the kind of relationship where you do not have to perform or manage or maintain distance to feel safe. I see that longing, and I want to address it directly. You have been hurt by people, not just once, in ways that accumulated, in ways that built a pattern inside you that made you careful, that made you slow to open, that made you hold back just enough so that even when connection is present, you are not fully in it. Because fully in it feels like the edge of a cliff you have fallen from before. My child, the caution is understandable. The walls were built for reasons that made sense at the time. The people who hurt you did real damage, and it would be foolish to pretend otherwise. The wounds left by rejection, by abandonment, by betrayal, by someone who should have been safe and was not. Those are real wounds, and they deserve to be acknowledged as such. But I want to show you something. The walls that were built to protect you have also been keeping out things that were never a threat. They have been keeping out people who genuinely wanted to be close to you. People who would not have repeated what was done to you. People who had something real to offer but could not get past the distance you maintained. And you may not have even been aware you were maintaining it. That is how walls work. They become automatic. They become the default. And over time, you forget they are there and just wonder why closeness feels so difficult. My child, I am not asking you to take down all your walls at once. I am asking you to begin examining which walls are still necessary and which ones have outlived their purpose. Because there is a difference between wisdom about who to trust and fear disguised as wisdom. And over time, what started as discernment can calcify into isolation. You were not created for isolation. You were created for genuine connection. The kind where you are known and accepted. The kind where you do not have to perform or maintain a certain image to keep people close. The kind that holds space for the real you, including the parts that are still healing. That kind of connection is not only possible for certain people, it is available to you, but it requires some softening. It requires some willingness to risk being known again, not recklessly, with wisdom and patience, but genuinely. And I am working on this within you. I am softening the places that have grown hard from protection. I am healing the wounds that made trust feel impossible. I am rebuilding the internal architecture that determines how you receive love, so that when it comes, and it is coming, you will be able to actually receive it instead of managing it from a safe distance. There are people being prepared for your life. People who will not need you to be anything other than what you are. People whose presence will feel like arrival rather than performance. People who will recognize something in you that you have spent years wondering if anyone would ever see. But you must be willing to let them in when they come. So take a breath. And if you are ready to begin the work of letting people in again, respond. Type, "I am ready to be known" in the comments. My child, stay with me. I want to talk to you about fear. Not fear in the dramatic sense. Not the kind that announces itself clearly and loudly. The subtle kind. The kind that lives just below the surface of your daily decisions. The kind that shapes what you attempt and what you avoid without you always realizing the influence it has. You have been living smaller than I created you to live. Not because you are not capable. Not because the life you were designed for is out of reach. But because fear has been quietly drawing the boundaries of what feels safe to attempt. And over time, you have stopped noticing where the boundary is, because you stopped walking toward it. Let me name some of the ways this shows up. You have ideas that excite you, and then you watch them sit. Not because you cannot act on them, but because somewhere in the gap between the idea and the action is a fear that says it probably will not work, or that you are not the right person, or that now is not the right time, or that if you try and fail, it will be worse than if you never tried. So the idea stays an idea. Or you have a conversation that needs to happen, one that would bring clarity or resolution or honesty into a relationship, and you put it off because the outcome is uncertain, and uncertain feels dangerous. So you manage the relationship at a distance, settling for something that functions but never quite reaches the depth it could have. Or you look at the life you actually want, and you feel a mixture of desire and hopelessness simultaneously. Because you want it, but it feels far, and the distance between here and there has started to feel like evidence that it is not meant for you. My child, none of these are truths. They are fear speaking with authority it was never given. Fear is a feeling, a powerful one, a real one, but it is not a guide. It is not equipped to tell you what is possible. It is only equipped to tell you what feels dangerous. And danger and impossibility are not the same thing. I want to be your guide. And when I guide you toward something, it does not come with the guarantee that it will be easy. It comes with the guarantee that you will not be alone in it, that I will be present in the attempt, that what unfolds from the attempt will have purpose, whether it looks like what you expected or not. My child, you are not meant to wait until fear is completely gone before you move. Fear does not leave first. Courage moves first. And courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to take the next step, even while fear is present. It is the choice to trust that being guided forward matters more than the discomfort of moving into uncertainty. You have more courage than you realize. I have watched you choose courage in seasons when everything in you wanted to retreat. I have seen you take steps that frightened you because you knew they were necessary. I have seen you remain faithful in seasons where faithfulness cost you something. That was not nothing. That was everything. And I am asking you to bring that same courage to what is in front of you now. Not to manufacture excitement about what is uncertain. Not to pretend the fear is not there, but to take the next step anyway. The one that is right in front of you. The small, concrete, available step that you already know about, but have been waiting until you felt more ready to take. You are ready enough. Take the step. Allow me to meet you in the movement, because I do not meet people in their waiting. I meet people in their moving. Clarity comes through experience. The next understanding comes through the next step. So take a breath, and if you are ready to stop letting fear draw the boundaries of your life, respond. Type I will not let fear decide for me in the comments. Stay with me, my child. There is still so much more to receive. My child, I want to speak now about something that is already happening within you. Not something that is coming eventually. Something that is active right now, even in this moment as you are present with these words. There is a shift occurring in you. You may not feel it loudly. That is by design. The deepest changes in a person do not announce themselves dramatically. They move like roots beneath the surface. They go into places that consciousness does not fully reach. They change the architecture of how you receive, how you process, how you respond. And that is what is happening in you right now. I want you to begin paying attention to it differently, because you have a habit of measuring change by what is visible on the outside, by whether circumstances have shifted, by whether the problems have resolved, by whether the people around you have changed. And when those things have not yet moved, you conclude that nothing is moving. But my child, the outside is always the last place change shows up. The inside is where it begins, always, without exception. Every transformation that has ever happened in a person's life began as an invisible shift within them. A new thought that took root. A belief that quietly changed. A perspective that expanded. A wound that began to close. And only later, sometimes much later, did those internal movements show up as external change. You are in the inside phase. The phase that feels like nothing is happening because nothing you can see has changed. But the invisible work is the most important work. It is the work that makes everything else possible. It is the foundation being laid for what will eventually stand. My child, I am asking you to trust what you cannot see. Not blindly, with the evidence of what you know about how I work, with the evidence of what you have already seen in your own life. The times when something that felt like nothing was actually the beginning of something. The seasons that felt empty, that turned out to be full of preparation, you did not recognize until later. You have evidence that I work this way. Draw on that evidence now, and in addition to trusting what you cannot see, I want you to begin noticing the small things that are already different. The way your response to a certain kind of situation has slightly softened. The way a thought that once overwhelmed you now passes through without pulling you under. The way you paused before reacting recently in a moment where the old you would have reacted immediately. The way something that once required enormous effort to manage now feels slightly more accessible. These are not accidents. These are fruits of the work being done within you. They are small, but they are real. And small, real things compound. They build on each other. They become patterns. And patterns become the new normal. And the new normal becomes the foundation of a different life. So begin to honor the small evidence. Do not dismiss it because it is not dramatic. Do not ignore it because it does not look like the change you were hoping for. Receive it as what it is. Proof that something is moving. Proof that the work is real. Proof that you are not stuck even when you feel stuck. And if these words are helping you see the evidence of change that was already there, respond. Type, I see the change in me in the comments. And if this message is bringing peace and clarity into your heart, if you want to support this work so that others who are quietly struggling can receive the same encouragement, please like this video, share it with someone who needs it, subscribe so you do not miss what is coming next, and support this ministry through the link given below. Your support allows this message to reach hearts across the world that are waiting for exactly this. Stay with me, my child. We are still going deeper. My child, I need to speak to you about the dreams you have been quietly letting go of. Not loudly, not all at once, but gradually. The things you once believed were possible for your life, that have been quietly moved from the active list to the maybe someday list. The visions you had for yourself, that felt clear once and have become foggy with the passing of time and the accumulation of disappointments. The hopes that you still hold somewhere but have stopped speaking out loud because saying them out loud feels like setting yourself up. I know what those are, and I want to talk about them with you directly. The letting go happened in stages. First, the dream felt big and possible. Then something happened that created distance between you and the dream. A setback, a delay, a comparison to someone who seemed to achieve something similar with less effort. Then you adjusted your expectations to protect yourself. Then you adjusted again and again until the dream became something you hold very lightly, if you hold it at all. My child, some of what you adjusted was wisdom. Not every dream is meant for every person. Not every vision that excites you is the right direction. Wisdom does involve releasing things that are not aligned. But some of what you adjusted was not wisdom. It was grief. It was the management of disappointment. It was self-protection disguised as maturity. And I want to speak specifically to that category today. The things you dream about that will not leave, even when you try to stop caring about them. The visions that keep returning even after you have tried to set them aside. The longings that resurface in quiet moments even after you have told yourself to be more realistic. Those persistent, returning, stubborn hopes. Pay attention to those, because the things I have placed in you do not leave. They are patient. They wait through the seasons of doubt and management and protected distance. They wait through the years of being told to be more realistic. They wait through the discouragement and the comparison and the evidence that seems to point away from their possibility. They keep returning because they are not just desires. They are direction. My child, the persistent longing is a clue about where you are meant to go, not a guarantee that the path will be easy, not a promise that it will look exactly as you imagined, but a genuine indication of what I have placed within you and what I intend to develop in you over time. So I want you to do something that may feel uncomfortable. I want you to pick up one of the things you have been slowly letting go of, not to chase it recklessly, not to abandon everything and rush toward it without wisdom, but to hold it again, to reopen the possibility instead of slowly closing the door on it, to say to me honestly, this is something I still want even though I have been afraid to admit it. That honesty matters, because the doors that stay closed are often the ones we stop knocking on, and the ones we stop knocking on are often the ones we stopped believing were for us. And the belief that a door is not for you is sometimes based on truth, and sometimes based on pain, pretending to be truth. Let me be the one who tells you which is which. Bring me the persistent longings. Bring me the visions that will not fully leave. Bring me the parts of your future you stopped believing in, and let me show you what is still possible. Let me show you what is still being prepared. Let me show you what the delays were actually doing and what the next step actually is. Because your future is not empty. It is full of things that are being shaped for you to step into. And it requires you to stop slowly letting go and start slowly believing again. So take a breath. And if you are ready to pick something back up that you had been slowly setting down, respond. Type "I believe" again in the comments. My child, stay with me. There is something about your strength that I want to address. You have been strong for a long time, in ways people have seen, in ways people have not seen. Both kinds. And the strength that has gone unseen is the kind I want to honor today. The strength you showed in the season when you kept showing up, even though you were barely holding together. When you kept functioning in public while privately dealing with something nobody around you knew about. When you chose not to cause a scene or fall apart in the wrong moment because someone else needed you to be okay even when you were not okay. That was strength. The strength you showed in the moments when you almost gave up but did not, when everything was pointing toward quitting and something in you chose to stay one more day, one more try, one more prayer that felt like it was going nowhere but you offered it anyway, because what else do you do when you are all out of options except continue to reach? That was strength. The strength you showed in forgiving when you had every right to withhold it. In being kind to people who did not deserve it. In choosing not to become what was done to you. In protecting others from the full weight of what you were carrying so they would not have to feel it. That was strength, and I see all of it. Not one moment has gone unnoticed by me. Not one decision to continue when everything was pulling you towards stopping. Not one act of quiet courage in a moment nobody else witnessed. I was witness to every single one. My child, I want you to stop underestimating what you carry. You have developed something through this season that is genuinely rare. The capacity to remain. The capacity to endure without it breaking your character. The capacity to believe in the dark without certainty of the light. These are not common things. These are the qualities that make a person capable of the kind of life I am preparing you for. But here is the thing I need you to understand. The strength you have been relying on was yours, yes. But it was not only yours. There were moments you were beyond your own capacity. Moments where your own resources were genuinely empty. And yet you made it through those moments. That was not only you, that was me inside you. Sustaining what your own strength could not sustain. Holding what your own hands were too tired to hold. Carrying what was genuinely beyond what you could carry alone. I do not say that to diminish your strength. I say it to expand your understanding of what you are connected to. Because if I was able to carry you through your emptiest moments, and I was, then what do you think I am capable of in a season when you are being renewed? What do you think I can do in the next chapter, when you are no longer depleted, but beginning to be restored? My child, what is coming is not going to require you to be strong alone. It is going to require you to be connected, to know what you are carrying and what you are being carried by. To understand the difference between your effort and my movement. To move from a place of collaboration rather than isolated striving. You have been striving alone for too long. I want to carry more of this with you. But that requires you to let me. To release the grip of having to do everything yourself. To trust that what you hand to me will be handled. To believe that you are supported at a level that your own effort could never replicate. So take a breath. And if you are ready to stop carrying this alone, respond. Type, let. You carry this with me in the comments. My child, I want to speak to you now about something very specific. The relationship between what you have been through and what you are about to step into. Because these two things are not separate. Many people think about their past as something they are trying to get away from, something that is behind them, something they are moving out of. And in one sense that is accurate. You are not meant to live looking backward. You are meant to move forward. But the past does not disappear when you stop looking at it. It becomes integrated. It becomes part of the foundation. It becomes the material out of which new things are built. And the quality of what is built next depends significantly on whether the material from the past has been properly worked through or simply buried and stepped over. My child, I have been working your past into something. Every difficult season, every period of confusion, every loss that felt meaningless, every wound that went deeper than it should have, every delay that tried your faith, every moment you had to trust without evidence, all of it has been worked into something, into understanding you could not have arrived at any other way, into compassion that only forms through genuine suffering, into a kind of wisdom that is not theoretical, but lived, not read about, but walked through, into the specific combination of capacities that the next chapter of your life is going to call on. My child, you are not going into the next season empty-handed. You are going in with everything you became in the last season, with the patience that was forged in the waiting, with the discernment that was sharpened in the confusion, with the faith that was deepened in the dark, with the understanding of pain that allows you to recognize it and respond to it in others in ways that make a difference. You are going in equipped, and the life that is opening before you will require every single thing you developed, not because it will be hard, but because it will be significant. And significant things require people who are prepared for them. You are prepared, not perfectly, not without areas still developing, but genuinely prepared for the next step. So do not approach what is coming with the posture of someone who has just barely survived. Approach it with the posture of someone who has been shaped for exactly this. Because you have been, and what is coming knows it, and I know it, and now I want you to know it too. So take a breath. And if you believe that your past is preparation for your future, respond. Type, "My past prepared me" in the comments. My child, stay with me a little longer. We are moving into something now that I want you to receive carefully. It is about what happens from this point forward. Because there is a tendency, after a message like this, to feel moved in the moment and then return to the same patterns when the moment passes. To feel the shift during the stillness and then lose it to the noise that rushes back in when the stillness ends. To receive something real and then let the busyness of ordinary life gradually dilute it back to nothing. I do not want that to happen. What I am building in you is not a feeling. Feelings come and go. What I am building is a foundation. And foundations do not live in feelings. They live in decisions, in patterns, in the daily choices that either reinforce what is being built or quietly erode it. So I want to speak to you about what to do with what you have received today. First, do not let this be a private experience. Tell someone, not everyone, but someone. One person who is safe enough to receive it. Say to them, "Something shifted for me today." Say to them, "I received something I needed." Say to them, "I am choosing to believe something different about my situation, starting from this moment." Because when you speak it out loud to another person, it becomes more real. It becomes accountable. It becomes harder to quietly take back when the noise returns. Second, return to the things that were touched today. The specific places in you that felt a response to these words. The declarations you made in the comments. The moments when something landed in you that felt true. Return to those. Write them down. Say them again. Not as ritual, as practice. Because what we return to regularly becomes more deeply formed in us over time. Third, protect the space. You found space today. Real, quiet, present space. That is not nothing. That is rare. Protect the ability to return to that kind of space regularly. Not every day requires a long, extended time, but every day requires some moment of honest, present stillness with me. Even 5 minutes, even just a breath. The habit of returning to stillness is the habit that makes everything else possible. My child, you are not the same as you were when this began. Something has shifted. Something has been released. Something has been received. And even if you do not feel it dramatically right now, it is real. It is in you. It is working. Do not doubt it. Do not dismiss it. Do not let the next thing that demands your attention convince you that what happened here was not significant. It was, and I am with you in the carrying of it forward. So take a breath, and if you are ready to carry this forward into your daily life, respond. Type, "When carry this with me" in the comments. And if you have received something real today, if something in you has genuinely shifted, please share this with someone who needs it. Like this video. Subscribe so you continue to receive what I will speak into your life. And support this ministry through the link given below.